Well, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. Thank you so much for listening today. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, and this is a place where I talk about health and wellness and biohacking and all things like that. A shout out to everyone who has supported this show this year. I just want to give you so much love and appreciation because my show is ending in the top 1.5% of podcasts globally. And I don't know what I started at the beginning of this year because I actually was not aware of the ranking. And I know that I want to say September, I think it was September, I was in the top 2%. So I went from 2% to 1.5%. And that is something that I'm really proud of. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're looking at about 4 million podcasts worldwide, that's a big jump. And so I am so excited about that. And, we're past 200 episodes now. And yeah, it's just such a slow growing community. I like to think of my business as a slow burn, like a candle. And I knew that. I knew that from day one of starting my Instagram account. Not even my business, my Instagram account. I knew that. I knew that this would be a slow burn to the level of success that I'm looking for, or the level of reach and how I really want to help people. I knew that it would be this thing that would build year after year. So it really does matter when you leave reviews. It really matters when you download episodes and not just listen to them. Or just listen to them, whatever. It doesn't matter. It matters when you share your episodes on your Instagram stories or with your friends, or you just kind of help it with its reach. It really makes a difference. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. It means so much to me. And I can't wait to see what 2024 has in store. And I think I talked about this on my last episode, but my women's health clinic is now open online and I'm accepting patients for January. So if you want to hop on, you can definitely do that. Specializing in hormones, fertility, preconception, a bit of pregnancy, postpartum, but also things like PCOS, your menstrual cycle, endometriosis, and just helping to balance everything. That has kind of been what I've been through myself. So that's what I'm specializing in. So I really encourage you to book in. January is such a great time to kickstart your health. Get ahead of it, talk to the experts, make a plan. And so it comes with, typical, we'll do an initial consultation for an hour online, anywhere in the world. You can be anywhere. And then I will create a treatment plan for you. And we will take a look at nutrition, supplements, lifestyle, biohacks, and everything involved in that. And really, how can we optimize your health? So I really encourage you to do that. And I will be reaching out to people about that further in the new year. My course comes out in February, supposed to come out in February. And that is my optimizing preconception course. And I am so excited about that. So stay tuned for that as well. And I think that is going to be really significant and make waves in this space, this optimizing health space, because not a lot of people are talking about optimizing conception, let alone preconception. So I'm really looking forward to that coming out. It will be probably one of my biggest things that happens next year for me. And please stay tuned for that. And this episode is all about PEMF, which is pulsed electromagnetic fields, which was really cool because I don't have a lot of experience in this space. I have used, and you'll hear me talk about this on the episode, I've used their Pulse PEMF mat when I was at the biohacking conference, and I don't have a home one. So I'd actually kind of love to get a home one for all those people listening out there who know of somebody. But I don't have one, and it would be something that I would love to add to my biohacking tool belt. So we go through all of that in this episode, what it is, how to use it, who's it for, how to benefit from it. And it was really great. It was fun to talk to Joey. I met him at the conference, and as odd as that conference was in many ways, it was so amazing to meet such great people who are like-minded in terms of the guests. I think the speakers were mediocre, but the guests were phenomenal. And to be able to meet so many brands that I've worked with or know of me was by far amazing. And next year, I'm actually hoping to go to A4M, which just happened last week. I saw a bunch of my biohacking friends there. I didn't go, but I saw them online. And this is what is it called? It's like anti-aging medicine conference. And or aging for medicine. I think I'm really messing up the title here, but it is all about longevity, essentially. And I really want to go to that. I think it's where is it? Is it in California next year? Probably. So I want to try head out to that, and we will see what happens. I also have, this is such a side tangent. I also have Taylor Swift tickets for next year around the same time in Vancouver. So we will see what happens with that. I am one of the lucky few who actually got picked to buy tickets, and I bought 4, and I probably will sell 2 and just use 2. Anyway, so enjoy this podcast episode. A shout out to Inside Tracker. They are one of the best brands if you want to get your biomarkers, things like hormones, vitamins, minerals checked, your levels checked, because they come to your house. They do it for you. It's private, so you don't need to go through a doctor. And it gets uploaded into their app or on their dashboard online, and then you get to read all of the results. So it's really great, especially for people who want things tested where your doctor might say, oh, you don't qualify. Like say I want my thyroid tested, like my TSH, T4, T3. And the doctor says, oh, but you're not presenting with any thyroid symptoms. But I'm like, no, I think something's going on. I want to get it tested. With Inside Tracker, you can do their ultimate test and get I think it's over 48 different biomarkers tested. And you don't have to go through all of that nonsense about not being able to get the test that you want. And yes, they do test for thyroid, which I think is so important. So check out Inside Tracker. Use the discount code biohacking Brittany. It will save you 25%, could be 30%, but a decent amount off. And then also shout out to Mimeo. Mimeo is one of my favorite brands that I found this year. It is 4 different biomimetic ingredients stacked together, which is people hear that and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So biomimetic means that it is an ingredient that copies what the molecule does in your body. So it mimics it. Biomimetic. And this is really important because when you take these 4 different ingredients, stack them together, it is super efficient in the body at creating the same results that you would get from a 36-hour fast. So if you don't want to do the fast, but you want the benefits, you can take something like Mimeo and get the benefits from these naturally occurring molecules, which I just think is a brilliant way of doing it. So they actually increased my discount code. It's biohacking Brittany 20, and that 20 will give you 20% off. So definitely use that while you can. I think that expires at the end of the year, but still try it anyway whenever you're listening to this because it's definitely worth it. So enjoy this podcast episode. I think it's very insightful. You're going to learn a lot, and I will catch you later this week for another one. Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. Thank you for tuning into another podcast episode this week. Today, we are diving into PEMF, and this is something that I kind of know about, I don't know a lot about, and I actually don't have that much experience with it. So I have a bunch of questions, and I'm excited to pick the brain of Joe LeHotay, who is here from Pulse PEMF, or PEMF. I don't even know if you say it like that. And I actually had the privilege of meeting this team at the biohacking conference in June and trying out their technology, which was really cool. And we're going to talk about that today. So Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brittany. Love being here. Thanks.
Yeah. So I would love to start with the basics and help people understand what is PEMF? What does that mean? And kind of how does the technology work?
Yeah. So PEMF, really the letters just stand for pulsed electromagnetic fields. And it comes in a lot of shapes and sizes and different flavors, which we can get into. But basically, what PEMF does, or PEMF, is it supplies energy to the body in bulk, and it exercises and stimulates the cells so that depleted low energy cells, when, there's pathology present or surgery or fatigue or stress or trauma in the body, cells can be depleted and low energy. So PEMF just provides the body with that bulk energy in the form of that pulsed electromagnetic field to really support the body's own healing mechanisms. So the body can heal better, regenerate better, recover better, rest better, all the things that we try to do, the body tries to do on its own and is designed to do, but doesn't always have enough energy at the foundational cellular level to pull it off maybe as thoroughly or as quickly as we might expect.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of happens that like our body's energy might be drained like that? Like why does that kind of happen in the first place?
That's a great question. And, I don't know if it has always been the case. I imagine that it has gotten worse over maybe the past 150 years or even less. And I think as society sort of quote unquote evolves, and I literally use air quotes there, it becomes harder and harder to maintain cellular energy levels just because there's a lot in the environment that will suppress those levels and sort of interfere with the body's ability to maintain and increase cellular energy. And that comes from, things in the environment like the food that we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, the soil that, the agriculture is planted in. And in the last, even 20, 30, 50, 100 years, it's getting worse and worse. But the frequencies that are in the air that, we swim in all day long, that range from just regular electricity to, high frequency devices and Wi-Fi and 5G and blue screens and, the technology we're using even for this podcast. And so, it becomes more and more necessary as I say, society evolves. You can think of it as devolution in some ways, I think, but it becomes more important to, maintain that cellular energy and even, improve it if you can.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that was actually something I wanted to ask you about is this idea of EMF exposure that we all kind of have. And I work online and I've worked online for multiple years. And so I'm very much aware of my computer and my phone and the Wi-Fi in my apartment and all of these things and how they can negatively impact my health. But then when I look at something like PEMF and it's like pulsed electromagnetic fields, I think it's obvious that people are like, okay, wait a minute. What about the EMF that comes from this? And like, how does that kind of work if you are giving the body energy? So I'm curious, like, how does that kind of all fit together?
Yeah, that's a great question too. And that comes up all the time. So, really the easy way to answer it is PEMF operates on super low frequencies. So some of them are called extremely low, some of them are called ultra low, but really what we're talking about for the most part with PEMFs is 1 to a few hundred hertz. And with the EMFs that are dangerous to us, aberrant, to the body, they're foreign to the body doesn't know how to handle those range, anytime you're familiar with the terms, megawatts, gigawatts, terawatts, millimeter waves. These are all super high frequency, fast, waves, as opposed to a slower wave in the lower frequencies, the single digit and even, single, double, triple digit frequencies, just much lower. Also, PEMF is not constant. So you're not exposed to it on a constant basis. You're only exposed to it in short nanosecond bursts that, 1,000 of them basically don't even take up a full second of exposure. So, there's some just easy, fundamental differences between those two things. And really, if you look at some studies that are out there, the PEMF has been shown to even help offset some of the effects of what we would call electrosmog, some of those high frequency sort of radiation inducing things that are aberrant to the body.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like different frequencies and the quantity is different as well. And then also, I think it's like you're talking about recharging the cells and providing more energy to the cells. So even if there is this exposure during that time, even though it's different frequencies, afterwards, your body is now better equipped to handle the EMF that you're constantly bombarded with. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And in a lot of ways, think of PEMF as a great way to help the body detox, because really when you're, going back to what we said earlier in sort of the elevator pitch, the quick explanation for it, we're talking about stimulating and exercising those cells that are depleted and low energy. So if you think of cells that really aren't able to do what they should be doing on an effective basis because they just don't have enough energy. So what is enabled to be better once they have the energy is the body is better able to uptake the components, the elements that help heal the body, like oxygen, hydration, nutrients in a better way, but also able to eliminate from the body in a more efficient way. So the metabolic waste and toxins that occur in the body that aren't needed. And so once we have enough energy in the cells to be able to have that sort of in with the good, out with the bad type of function going on, now the body can concentrate and just spend that energy to do the things it needs to do in terms of heal itself and, all the other things that we're designed to do.
All right. I know that so many of us struggle with our hormones. We have a lot of confusion around our menstrual cycles, ovulation, having our periods, regulating it, and really just minimizing the symptoms that we often deal with. I have been there. I've had a mild PCOS diagnosis. I have had irregular cycles since I've been off birth control. I've had a ovarian cyst. And honestly, I've been through a lot when it comes to hormones in the last few years. So out of that, I really taught myself about cycle syncing. And this is the idea that during different phases of the cycle, we are doing different things. We are eating different foods, taking different supplements or drinking different teas for the nutrients, exercising differently in response to where our hormones are at that time. And through living in this ebb and flow of our cycle, we can actually feel better. We can look better. Our hormones are happier. We're mentally better. We can sleep better. And this is exactly what I found. So I took everything that I did, I put it into an easy peasy guide for you. It's called the Ebb and Flow Cycle Guide. It's on my website. Go and grab it right now. This is literally going to solve all of your hormone issues. I'm not kidding. It's so good. And it's so easy to read as well. I also added in a part about seed cycling because I know so many of you are interested in seed cycling as well. So that means, what seeds do we take during which phase of the cycle? These seeds have different phytonutrients in it that can help with the different hormones during the different phases. And I've also included over 30 recipes that are super tasty as a bonus. So these recipes are designed for the different phases. So you can have certain ones during your period, during ovulation, and things like that. And of course, I included biohacks. I included which biohacks to do around ovulation to optimize that, how to optimize your menstrual cycle or your menstruation during your period, and everything like that. Everything from castor oil packs to acupuncture to red light therapy to healing baths that I love, that is what I did. So this is my ebb and flow cycle guide. You can grab it on my website right now, biohackingbrittany.com. Go for it. And I hope you really enjoy it. There's been over 500 that have been bought already, which is so amazing to see. And I'm just so thankful that I get to help women with their hormones and on their health journey. Yeah, that makes total sense. So how does Pulse EMF work? And like, how is it different from a lot of the other PEMF mats that we are kind of seeing everywhere now? You know, like there's obviously the take-home mats that you can just have yourself, but your technology is so different. And I'd love for you to kind of explain visually what it looks like if someone has never seen it before.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So PEMF, really, the marketplace of PEMF can be confusing. And I wrote a Substack on this for this purpose because I spend most of my days educating people, and a lot of it is based on how confused they are when they come to talk to us. They know that they want to look at PEMF, but they have the same questions as you're asking, and they're just confused on why so many things in the marketplace are called the same thing, but look and act and feel so much different. So great question. So when you're looking at that spectrum of, I'll call it products, devices, if you will, on the market that do PEMF, you're looking at anything that ranges from a wearable type device, like maybe a medallion that's magnetic in some way that helps to, stabilize a magnetic field that is trying to interact with, helping the body to do its own thing, maybe relax a little bit, maybe to fight off some of the other aberrant frequencies. And so there are extremely low level, low cost, low powered devices that are wearable. And as you work your way up that spectrum, and also in that category, so for listeners who might be familiar with the term earthing or grounding, where you are literally attaching your body to the earth by taking off your shoes and either standing on the ground, in the grass, on the beach, walking through the ocean water, and taking advantage of basically the earth's PEMF, the earth's resonant frequency. And that's good for us, right? We talk about going on vacation to the beach so that we can recharge our batteries. And so, people use that as a euphemism, but it really is the case in a lot of ways. And so that's kind of at one end of the spectrum. As we work our way up the spectrum in terms of maybe power that is generated by a PEMF device, tactile sensation that is generated by a PEMF device, the cost of a PEMF device, all of these are sort of correlated to each other. As we move up that spectrum to the higher power, higher tactile sensation, higher intensity, it's also usually correlated with higher cost. And as you get maybe into the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 range, and even slightly below that, you're talking about what you referred to earlier as mats, PEMF mats. Most people are familiar with that. You lie on a mat and there's a resonance to it. There's a waveform of frequency that's being applied to your body, usually in either sound or that a lot of times you can't hear, or light. It could be light as well, or both. And you kind of just lie there and you get the benefits of that, but you don't have any tactile experience to go along with it. You're not feeling much of anything except perhaps a little bit of warmth, let's just say. And those have, benefits associated with them for sure. As we continue to move up and as things get more expensive and higher power, now you're moving out of the category of what I would call resonant frequency type PEMF, and you're moving into the category of what I would call impulse based PEMF. More power, more intensity, more tactile sensation. Now I can actually feel something happening inside of my body while I'm on the device. And I mean, I've thought about this for a while, and really the simplest way to explain it to someone in words is to just have them imagine a magnetic massage that can be perhaps regulated from very, very light and gentle. Some people prefer a very gentle type massage to a very, very aggressive bone grabbing deep tissue massage where you're basically just telling the massage therapist, can't you do any harder than that? Some people prefer that. So really when you get up to that side of the spectrum where things are getting fully regulatable in terms of gentle to strong, now you're into the category where Pulse PEMF resides. And so, as you may recall from, meeting us at biohacking, when you get on the Pulse device, and I believe you tried the bed, the operator, in which case it was me at the time, I believe, we just turn up the intensity until you're comfortable, and we can go past that point. We can stay, where you're, really relaxed and comfortable, and we can fiddle with the settings a little bit for different applications, relaxing, energizing. You want to recover from athletic workout. You want to prepare and activate your muscles for a workout or a game or to perform in some way. We could do all of those things. So some of the more sophisticated devices on the market, and I would say Pulse is one of the most sophisticated, allow you to have a lot of variability of settings so that for different applications, you can go at it in different ways. And then just getting a little bit more into the capabilities of Pulse specifically, you asked about what would be to, range it from either a systemic application, which I believe you did, most of your visit was on the full body Pulse bed, down to a specific pinpoint on the body. Let's say your elbow's bothering you. Something's going with your elbow and you want to apply direct energy into that elbow. There's a whole group of smaller, call them focal accessories that can be applied directly to that area of the body to just more efficiently pump, for lack of a better word, pour that bulk energy into that specific area. And so really systemically activating that, sort of energy session right down to going into a specific pinpoint area, whether that be, like we said, the elbow, the knee, the lower back, things that would be fatigued or uncomfortable, just needing more energy, even the head, the gut, sort of a point and shoot model in those cases.
Are you tired of generic health advice that doesn't take your unique needs into account? Do you want to gain a deeper understanding of your health beyond the surface level recommendations? I want to talk to you about Inside Tracker's ultimate plan, the answer to your personalized health questions. With comprehensive blood biomarker analysis, it provides tailored insights into your body's needs. The ultimate plan tests up to 48 different blood biomarkers, including ApoB, cholesterol, glucose, magnesium, cortisol, vitamin D, and insulin. This comprehensive analysis extends your lifespan or health span and guides you to a longer and healthier life. Inside Tracker goes beyond generic clinically normal ranges to unveil your body's unique optimal biomarker zones, revealing where you're optimized and where your improvements can be made. They have science-backed recommendations on nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle, and are all personalized to your body's data, helping you reach optimal biomarker zones and achieve your wellness goals. Now with insulin testing included, you'll have the key to sustained energy and an early warning system for chronic diseases. This is actually really important. High insulin levels can increase the risk of conditions like heart disease, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and more. Inside Tracker's measurements and recommendations can help you maintain healthy insulin levels. So, are you ready to control your health in a new and personalized way? This is the test that I do every few months, and I am obsessed with it. And I change my healthy habits and my nutrition and my supplements based off of this data. You can go to insidetracker.com/biohacking with Brittany, and you will get 20% off. You can use my discount code biohackingbrittany. It's linked on my website and linked in the show notes. So definitely check that out if you want to do an at-home blood biomarker test that looks at over 48 different biomarkers for you so that you can start optimizing your health today. I love that explanation. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Do you think, would your recommendations then be to potentially have a mat at home that has kind of like these lower frequencies, but then also seek out Pulse PEMF at a, wellness center or clinic, and also use that as well? Like, is that kind of the recommendation? So you're getting both, or like, what do you think would be the best?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always going to vote for the thing that can get the most work done in the same amount of time or less time. So that's kind of the purpose for going with something that's, got a lot more power to it, in my opinion. I say that out of one side of my mouth, and on the other side, I say that all PEMF is good PEMF. And so, choose the place where you are on that spectrum in terms of your resources, your budget, the amount of time that you have, and what you really want to accomplish, and jump in somewhere. Grounding is great for you. If you make a habit out of grounding and going out in the sun and watching the sunrise with your bare feet standing on your lawn for 15 or 20 minutes a day, that is better than no PEMF at all. And so, it's one of those things where you can take advantage of things that are completely free and do great. You can explode your results and, go into places that you may not have imagined by jumping in somewhere further down the line on the spectrum, perhaps, if that's what your goals are. So I would say, yeah, just jump in wherever you can. I also have customers that are private clients. We have a product line that ranges in price. It's not necessarily for everybody out there, but there are certainly price points that are suited more towards the home market, private users, and all the way up to, clinics and PT centers and biohacking facilities and pro sports and that kind of thing.
Cool. I love that. I love that there's kind of something for everyone, depending on your, affordability or accessibility. And I think that's really important because there's a lot of biohacking tech out there that doesn't actually do that. And it's you have to be located in a certain place, or it's very expensive. It's not accessible for most people. So I'm glad that you kind of said that. For the average person who kind of comes to this type of technology, what would I'd say maybe they're just looking to increase energy. What would your recommendations be for how often they should be doing this and for how long? Like, how do you kind of get optimal results?
Yeah, so I'll answer that in the context of Pulse and sort of the best practices and recommendations we give for our type of technology. I would always say that you should at least try 3 to 5, sessions. And I would say that a session during those 3 to 5 should be anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. And you can obtain sessions like that by finding a provider, a professional pulse, facility in your area, just by going to pulsepemf.com, reaching out to me. We can always, help you to get introduced to it somewhere, but try 3 to 5 sessions. Do them in a week to 10-day span. So if you're doing 3 sessions, try to do them in a week span. I don't know if I specifically mentioned this phrase, this term, but think of it as cellular exercise. And so the same way you would think of physical exercise, it's a cumulative result. So the effects pile up on each other. And so it's always better to go to the gym 3 times in 1 week than it would be to go once a week for 3 weeks, right? And so this is sort of similar to that. So if you're doing those 3 to 5 sessions, try to do it in a week to 10 days, and then see what type of results you get. And my guess and my experience with the thousands of people that I've seen use this is that 9 out of 10 people will get results in those first 3 to 5 sessions that make them want to do more. That could be a small result. It could be a very significant result, but it makes them want to do more. It makes them see the value in pursuing it further. And then I would just treat it like my rule of thumb is if you have a specific concern, like let's say the elbow again, use that as an example again, that you really want to, resolve. You've been dealing with it for a while and trying different things. I would recommend 3 to 4 sessions a week for 3 to 4 weeks. It's really easy to remember. You're going to a center and you're getting yourself, a 15 to 20 pack of sessions. and you're seeing how far you can move that issue, how much progress you can make. And then from there, I would just treat it like exercise again, where you want to maintain, depending on your goals, you want to be able to do this, as often as you can, for as long as you can each session, for as much of the rest of your life as you can, depending on what your goals are. So just like physical exercise, same type of thought process.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I'm glad you explained it in that way. Something that I found interesting when I was going through your website is that you talk a lot about using this technology actually for animals. And that's so interesting. Like, I just don't really see people talking about that. And it's not really my, area of expertise to think like, how do we biohack animal health? So I would love for you kind of just to share about that and how you even go about doing that. And if you have any like success stories, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an equine professional either. I work more on our human side and our human division, but really the fundamentals are the same. Horses have cells just like people, whether it's muscle, connective tissue, bone, cartilage, ligament, a lot of the same design and a lot of the same reasons aren't able to maintain those energy levels, as often as we would hope. And so, there are providers and therapists that work specifically on animals, and most of those animals are attached to people as well. And so a lot of our animal, users will work on both animals and people, but it ranges from horses to domestic pets, dogs, cats, and some even farm animals. And so it's really an interesting side of the business. But, there's something about a $5 million racehorse where, you just really don't want that thing to ever be in pain where it can't run. And so a lot of money is spent on PEMF for decades on the equine world. And now, yeah, to your point, probably a lot of the other biohacking modalities and supplements and approaches are sort of bleeding over to the animal world if they didn't in fact start there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. Just thinking about where the evolution of the beginning of these technologies really came from in terms of frequency, right? Like the Pulse PEMF and these other mats, like you guys just harnessed something that was already existing in nature. And
exactly.
That's honestly what a lot of biohacking is taking this idea of how do we take what's optimally healthy for us naturally and make it more into some sort of product, I guess, or service that can really optimize our health at home or, in a clinic. And I think that's a good idea. I would definitely want to ask you about safety for like specific types of users when it comes to using this types of technology. So can children use this? What about pregnant women and elderly? What are your thoughts around those types of vulnerable groups?
Yeah, sure. Really, there are just a few contraindications for PEMF. And so the ones that are, front and center are any implanted electronic medical devices in the body, such as pacemakers, cochlear implants, insulin pumps, the things that get surgically put into the body basically and can't be shut off. We don't want to interfere with a strong magnetic field against delicate electronic, equipment that's running inside the body. That could be dangerous. The other big contra would be pregnant women. So we are, we're not taking pregnant women onto PEMF. It's a great tool to energize the body prior to pregnancy. And there's a few really cool stories around that. But pregnant women should remain off. It's also great for postpartum though. And so, as with any, and surgery is another contra for a certain time period. So, once you're cleared for exercise after surgery, you can jump back on PEMF, usually a couple of weeks, depending on what that surgery was. If it was, having a child, maybe it's a little bit longer than that, but for postpartum, for pelvic floor issues, and for just replacing some of that energy back into the body when you're not getting as much sleep as you're used to getting, perhaps those kinds of issues, that would be great, but we're still on contraindications. So I would also say no to anyone who's had an organ transplant, because PEMF could boost the immune system and potentially cause a rejection there. So we're not allowing that. That's about it. As far as age groups go, probably not an infant that's only, a few weeks or a few months old by themselves. But I've certainly seen a lot of infants get on with a parent, maybe in a lap of a parent or lying on top of the parent's chest if they're lying on the bed, that type of thing. And then the elderly, same thing. As long as they don't have a contraindicated, device that's running inside the body, really all ages, all shapes and sizes.
Let's talk about getting the remarkable benefits of fasting without the daunting commitment of long-term fasting. As a dedicated professional, always on the lookout for ways to enhance my health and well-being, I've explored intermittent fasting extensively. And if you're a listener of the podcast, you know this. However, I've often found myself pushing the boundaries and experiencing adverse effects such as sleep issues and energy slumps, and also hormonal issues. While intermittent fasting did offer some positive outcomes initially, like many of us, I struggled to incorporate it long term without it really disrupting my daily life. However, my life has recently taken a turn for the better, all thanks to Mimeo. This is the world's first biomimetic supplement. This incredible innovation is the accumulation of years of rigorous clinical research, meticulously designed to replicate the effects of a 36-hour fast at the cellular level, which is wild. With Mimeo, I can now experience the holistic benefits of fasting without enduring prolonged periods of hunger and deprivation. Are you intrigued about the benefits? Let's get into it. First and foremost, Mimeo activates your cells' innate regenerative capabilities, much like fasting itself. This translates to optimized metabolism and better control over hunger, which a lot of us really value if we're trying to watch our weight. Secondly, it significantly boosts energy levels and accelerates recovery, making it an absolute game changer for active individuals like myself. Thirdly, Mimeo elevates mood and sharpens mental clarity, enabling us to be at our absolute best every single day. I definitely notice this, especially when I take it right before work in the mornings. The icing on the cake is that Mimeo's formulation is exclusively derived from molecules naturally produced by our own body. This means it is very, very safe because it is in perfect harmony with our biological system, delivering optimal effectiveness. Still not convinced? Mimeo offers a 100% happiness guarantee. That's right. There's absolutely nothing to lose. So for all of my fantastic listeners out there, if you want to give Mimeo a try and add it to your supplement stack, I really suggest you do so. And you can do that by using my discount code biohackingbrittany for 10% off for the first 3 months of your subscription, which is awesome. Join me along with countless others who are on the path to revolutionizing their health with Mimeo. Bid farewell to the challenges of long-term fasting and usher in a healthier, happier version of yourself, which we always love. Thank you for listening. And always remember, when it comes to optimizing your health, Mimeo holds the key. Visit their website, linked in my show notes and on my website as well, and embark on your journey towards a better you now. Nice. I love that. With the pregnancy, is it because there's just a lack of research on this technology with pregnancy, or do you think that there's actually like potential harm in some form for like the fetus or the placenta or something like that?
I think it's definitely the first. So as with lots of different things that we run into in the wellness space here, there's just not enough data out there and nobody really, jumping on board to do that type of study. Oh, I think I don't know. It could be thought of as unfortunate, I guess, but leading up to pregnancy and definitely postpartum, it's awesome to use.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, yeah, for fertility and postpartum recovery makes a lot of sense. I'm curious about your personal use with this technology. You're such an expert in this space, so I'd love to hear maybe how you're using it and the benefits that you've personally seen in your life and in your health.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. So when I first started with PEMF, it was about 7 years ago. I was in my early 50s, probably around 52, I think. And I got involved with PEMF and everybody was saying that, it helps with this, it helps with that. And I didn't really have any of those issues that I was dealing with. And so, I was just jumping in because I thought it could help a lot of people, even if one of those people wasn't necessarily me. But when I started to use it and a couple weeks later, just realized that some of the things I wasn't even really focused on specifically just started to be different. And a couple of those, one of the things is as a lot of guys in their early 50s and some even earlier than that in life deal with is the 3 o'clock wake up, 3 a.m. wake up. And when you go to the restroom at 3 a.m., who knows if you're getting back to sleep, right? So that could be a really difficult thing, challenging thing. And if it's only once, that's one thing. But if it's a few times, that compounds the matter, right? So, I did notice that after a couple of weeks only of using a PEMF, this Pulse PEMF device, and mind you, I wasn't using it for this purpose. I was just getting on it and not knowing really what to do. I was just brand new to this. And a few weeks in, I remember waking up. I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember waking up one morning and grabbing my phone off the nightstand and looking at it. And it was like 6:15. And I just kind of shook my head and go, wow, that's interesting. Okay, great. Let's see if this holds. Let's see if this keeps up. And, sure enough, that's one of those things that just faded away. I mean, and it didn't really fade away. It just all of a sudden was gone. So that was really interesting. The other one for me was, I didn't really deal with any sort of severe lower back pain, but it would take a while for me to recover from a long day on my feet, that kind of thing. And tell you a little story. My son is 23 years old. He's trying to become a pro golfer. But when that was 7 years ago. So he was 15 years old, I guess. He was a member at a local club and he would go out and play golf all the time. And, I would go and watch him and I'd watch him play in tournaments. And when you watch golf, I don't know if you've ever spectated at a golf tournament, but the way it goes is you're out there for about 5 hours and basically you walk about 300 yards and then you stand for 15 minutes and then you walk another 200 yards and then you stand for 10 more minutes. And usually you're not on level ground. It's not like playing basketball where everything's flat and perfect. You're always at an angle. Your back is twisted. Your ankles are this and that. So it would always take me 3 or 4 days to recover in my lower back from a day like that out in the sun. It's hot, 5 hours or so. Well, the problem is that Jacob, my son, would always have another tournament a day or two later. So I'd never have enough time to really recover my lower back. And after only maybe a month, I realized I got in the car one day, drove home about a half an hour, got out of the car, and I'm doing one of these moves where I'm checking my back and twisting myself and, just seeing what it feels like. And it just made me realize that, this can help the body resolve things more quickly just by imparting that energy, infusing that energy into the mix. I never had that before, so this was something new to me. And so those couple of things are the ones that really stick out in my mind personally anyway.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, it's cool that you kind of went into it with like almost like lower expectations for yourself because you didn't have these big, symptoms that you were trying to heal. And then you still were able to get benefit. And it's always interesting when you try new things and that's kind of like the case and what happens. So I love that. For people listening who would love to try this technology and potentially, buy something for their homes or go to a clinic, how can they do that? And how can they connect with you?
Yeah, if they want to connect with me, they can do it through Instagram. That's probably my biggest social channel, and that's just LeHotay Joe at LeHotay Joe on Instagram. You can also find me on YouTube. I have a podcast too. I'm not nearly as good at it as you are or consistent with it as you are, but that is Resilient Business with Joe LeHotay, and you can reach me there. I have a Substack. So there's a bunch of places you can reach me, or you can just email me at jlehotay@pulsepemf.com. And I would be happy to consult with you in terms of just if you're looking to just find a place in your local community where you can go and try it. If you want to rent a device for, maybe a longer period of time, like a month or two, maybe where you're really trying to go after something that you want to throw some energy into, or you're recovering from something, or we can look into, designing a solution for you for home use. Or if you're running a facility of some sort, a wellness facility, chiropractic, functional, integrative, stem cell, biohacking, pro sports, we'll consult with you on getting you set up, with a professional type configuration for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I will absolutely link all of that in the show notes and on my website so people can find you easily and kind of get some solutions depending on what they're looking for. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and teaching us about PEMF. I learned a lot and I feel like I thoroughly understand it now. So yeah.
That's great. I really appreciate being here, Brittany. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram where I'm most active. My handle is @biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.